I am job.
Do you speak English?
I am job.
I'm sorry, the position has been filled.
Hey, forget about what Miss Doubtfire's boss said. The truth is, you're hired. Now, your primary job is to drive results for both your buyer clients and your seller clients. I'm going to try to help you do both in this weekend's update. Let's jump right in. First place I think you should go, and I am biased, is to the weekend update dashboard. WKNDup.com has a lot of tools and information, including this video if you want to rewatch it, that may help you both with your buyers and your sellers. I've got a breakdown here, and I think the information in this breakdown is pretty spot on. And it talks about how buyers are hyper aware of affordability. I keep saying that and keep saying that. I'm hyper aware of their affordability too, because I'm looking at their numbers, not only on how they're going to sell their current home, how they're going to buy their next one. If there are some of your sellers that have a property listed, can't be buyers until they sell. The quote here that means a lot to me, though, is price realism is now paramount. Let's focus on the payment math. Well, that's what I'm going to dive into. From the mortgage or the weekend update dashboard, you can click right here on how 3% credits can make 100% difference in a buyer's ability. Got an example here for a property newly listed in Rancho Penasquitos, $525,000 condo at list price. With 10% down, this property is going to cost someone over $4,000 a month. For first-time home buyers, I'm not going to say that's not attainable, but it's not totally attractive. Well, if the seller were to give a 3%, or the buyer were to ask for a 3% seller credit instead of price discount, the buyer could save themselves $345 a month, or certainly over near $4,000 a year. In contrast, we're seeing a lot of minimal price reductions, or a buyer asking for a minimal price reduction in their offer. A $20,000 discount off the price of this home would save the buyer $136 a month. You choose. If you're representing a buyer looking for affordability and they could do a 3% seller credit and save $350, or a 20% seller discount and save $136, what do you think the buyer is going to choose? In addition to that, this is a long-term 30-year fixed buy down. What does that do? By being a long-term buy down, it increases purchasing power. So for instance, the buyer that's only qualified for a payment of about $3,800 in this scenario generally have to go find a home for $475 or less, depending on what the HOA and taxes look like. In this exact same scenario, a buyer with the same income can now qualify for a property that's $50,000 more. Better home, better amenities, maybe a higher HOA, but usually that's a representation of the fact that the HOA is now solvent and in line with things needed to be an approved condo versus a non-warrantable condo. All this is made possible because of a seller credit versus a price reduction. If you want more tools for this, we can do websites directly for your listings. We can do list and lock that will show what it would cost a seller to save potential buyers X amount of dollars on any loan type that they may possibly need. Or if you really want to enhance buyers' ability at the topper end of real estate in Southern California, we can discuss what an all-in-one loan can do to help them free up equity, pay off their home sooner, and save hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially in interest in doing so. A couple awesome homes coming on the market. The property I was just talking about is listed by Chris Plato. It's one of our featured listings in Rancho Penasquitos, priced at $525. And another really sweet home just down the road from me in Rancho Carrillo, listed by Crystal and Brenton Jocelyn. Great property coming soon. Really great location. Perfect single level family home. Let's talk about the market for a second. I put a chart up here that's pretty easy to see. Here's the Matterhorn. Just went to Disneyland for Mother's Day, so it's fresh in my mind. This is where Treasuries peaked on May 19th. We've been fortunate because of the main story, which is war, no war, war, no war. Been able to see the 10-year Treasury trickle down a little bit and start showing some relief, getting back hopefully into the ranges that we experienced pre-conflict, which you'd have to go all the way back to February to get. And I'll show that on chart right here. Here is pre-war, pre-President's Day. Here's when the conflict started, and we've seen rates go up pretty steadily since then, stay in a range where they didn't get much better, and then they got worse. So on our way back down to rates that we saw before President's Day and before the conflict started, we've got some room to run. But it's nice to see these green dots here that are showing us the 10-year Treasury coming down, MBS bonds improving, and giving us more opportunity to really show value and peak interest. We're starting to see an uptick in applications. We're grateful for that. But most importantly, we want to take the opportunities, which is exactly what these applications are, to enhance the education, confidence, and affordability for buyers. In doing so, that's going to help your sellers. Conversely, if sellers know that buyers are paying attention to payment more than anything, let's find a solution that meets that need. Have a great weekend. I'm working through the weekend. If you need me, call, text, or email. Comment down below if you agree with any of these strategies. If you use these strategies, please let me know, because once you get this, you'll unlock keys that are keeping properties on market for longer when they don't need to be, and buyers shopping for homes they could have already purchased. Take care. Talk soon. Bye.